It is too early to make a slide deck. I'm just going to talk at it. Hello! We have Banlist 25.10. I don't really like it. I'm gonna talk about why. This is one of those things where there are things about it that I like, but I feel like the overall is going to be not necessarily a net negative, but it's going to make the game less fun for a lot of people. Let me get into it, right? So the explanation of changes this time around is really short. Everything kind of gets a paragraph ish. I know that's literally more than four paragraphs, but they sort of prime you for a couple of the things. They also don't really explain why creative, in particular, was the unban choice. Now, I do think that it is arguably the safer choice because the other unbans they could have looked at were things like trick shot or world tree or what have you. But I don't necessarily buy that Creative Commission was de facto correct when pretty often this is going to represent just, hey, what if we just give Shaper more sure gambles? Will they be good now? And the answer is like, it'll help, but it probably won't solve it. The good news is we get to do Anacam gaming again. So that's great. But I don't necessarily buy that CC was the best choice. I think it was just the one they deemed easiest. It's not bad. I'm happy to see it, but I'm a little disappointed that that's where we're at. The reason given isn't. The reason giving is Shapers needed something. They say, hey, Creative Commission is a little bit more economic flexibility. While true, you know what's a fun way to tech against remotes? Trick shot. It would have been interesting to get that back as opposed to just three more copies of Sure Gamble. But no, Green is getting three more copies of Sure Gamble back. And I mean, fine. Like, again, I am in favor of not banning out system gateway cards when possible. Just the way they've sort of gone about it here feels like it's more of a safe choice than one that really felt like super well considered. Let me mourn Sting for a bit. Sting is dying for a lot of other card sins here, and it doesn't feel entirely fair. Sting represents a relatively small amount of ambush damage in the grand scheme, as well as points to steal. They specifically call out that without Sting, poisoning archives is harder. And that's technically true, but the problem isn't necessarily just Sting. The problem is you can do stuff like Moonpool combo people, where if you have a FUT on the board, which is one thing they're trying to avoid getting rid of right now, so it would seem, you can just shove Fuji and have FUT pop off, and then they'd probably just eat it anyway. And you're really not upset at that. It's surprisingly easy to deal with them. Now, granted, Sting going means that, you have to put yourself at a greater points risk to do it, but the play still exists, and it's still unreactable without running all of their remotes anyway. I don't buy that this solves much for Egg. I think it slows down certain kinds of Egg, but I also think you'd be surprised at how many perfectly good Oppo Eggs really aren't going to miss Sting that much. Yeah, having something stolen is an important trigger, and there will be less good targets for it, but I'm just not. I don't buy that Sting was the card to hit given their stated goals. Yeah, they want you to run archives. Okay, fine. I mean, RH is doing amazing. They can't afford to run Sting. Does that somehow make archives less good for them? Like, I get that this is targeted egg hate or an attempt at it, but I don't buy that it's going to work. I'm not fully on board. Granted, I am always a little grumpy when the solution to, oh, the meta's not great, ban a jinteki card. Kind of the same way, oh, the runner meta's not great, ban a shaper card. Seems to come up a lot. Losing a red card was inevitable this time around because Egg is a top 2 deck, but I'm not convinced that Sting is it. Anyway, I'm rambling. I don't have a lot else to say beyond I'm a little disappointed. Moving on. I think everybody knew this was going to happen. I think the two ways they could have gone was to not ban Sting and ban Bladderwort, and then let Ob have its fun toy, but not have one of the nastiest things to ladder into anymore. They took Ob's fun toy instead. I am not an Ob player. I know a lot of Ob players. They are all punching air right now. This is I feel bad for them because this is one of the most fun ob cards in the game. It's also exclusively an ob card. Nobody plays Cybersand beyond ob, at which point it's like an automatic 3 of. I look at this thing and what it represents in ob is this like borderline untrashable because they can either bin it for the text or make them pay 4 for it, which is horrible. Ob ladder enabler that makes it hard to design one cost. It's like of all the cards on this list, this is the one I understand banning the most because it does exactly what they say it needs to do by hurting ob and only ob. And yeah, getting bladderwort and humanoid on demand is a problem. I'm not convinced that pulling fut is as good as those other two a lot of the time. Whatever. I feel like this was gonna happen. Ob needs to be taken down a peg because it is the best deck, but I can't say with like I feel bad for the ob players because this is so much of their kit gone, and I'll be really interested to see what shakes out. I suspect they'll be okay because the ob effect is just so uniquely powerful, but this is a big hit for sure. It does mean though that we get a little bit more design space back in the future, and I'm hoping they make use of that. Last, NBN's dead. Like I've been kind of doomsaying on NBN for a while and just being like, look, I'm super bearish on NBN. I don't think Nebula's real. I don't think any of this is real. And then rather than ban the agenda that only they play and only Nebula plays in the form of false lead, despite the fact that they specifically call that out down here as, hey, this is an alternative target because other decks aren't playing it. Like, yeah, touch-ups kills through steel skin. Okay, then why did you print it? What's the point? The whole point, I thought, was that touch-ups was the tech card that beat that particular kill tech. Yes, it is more effective than just that. Yes, it is very powerful. You just printed this. You just printed a bunch of really bad NBN cards and touch-ups. And then you took touch-ups away. I have said for a while, the most negative thing you're going to hear me say about this game is that NSG does not know what to do with NBN. At all. They don't know what they want this faction to be. They understand that it involves tags, but beyond that, they don't seem to know where NBN needs to go beyond just playing copies of End of the Line because that's better than any other tag payoff in the game. And here we are, and they still don't know what to do with NBN. They've effectively removed NBN from the card pool for Worlds at this point. That's bad, y'all. That is a straight up mistake. And I don't think we're going to see a touch-ups unban anytime soon. But NBN is effectively dead to me until either a significant unban or the introduction of more cards. And that is not the note I wanted to end this ban list on, but I don't really have anything else of substance to say. I'm sad about this. I think this is good. This is fine. It's a little boring, but it's fine. This feels a little misguided. This was inevitable, but I feel bad for the ob folks. This just means the faction doesn't exist until otherwise. Something changes. Something has to go another way. It's just bad. I'm running out of words. I'm gonna go make some coffee. I'll talk to you guys later. Have fun.